Why is it so important to tune your piano? Why would the Piano Technicians Guild tell you you should tune your piano 4 times a year? Is it because they're in the business, they want more money? No, it's because the more you tune your piano, the more stable it becomes. Welcome to livingpianos.com. I'm Robert Estrin with a question that I get all the time. How do you know when your piano needs to be tuned? And you know, there's a very wide range of answers to this question. I'm going to try to give you the information you need to know how to maintain your piano properly. So, first of all, your Piano Technicians Guild, they recommend 4 times a year. Now, you might think that's extreme, and there might be some of you out there who haven't tuned your piano in years and thinking, what? Well, I always tell people at least twice a year because of seasonal changes. When you go from heat to air conditioning and back again, the piano can shift. The whole piano can go low in pitch or even go up. Now, the good news is you can get apps on your phone and then just play A and see if it's at 440. And if it's right around 440, 441, you know, if it starts to go low, that's really not good. And you could check in different registers because you might have a piano that the middle is fine, but the top couple of octaves have gone down substantially. So that's one simple solution. But it's not the only important thing because you have 3 strings for each note of the piano through most of the register. And the first thing that happens is unisons go out. That is, the 3 strings to one note aren't in tune with one another perfectly, even though the whole piano might be generally in the right pitch. Now, I played that A earlier. Now, you hear that pure tone? Listen to it again. Now, even though, you know, we have like, 75 pianos and they're all being worked on. I have pianos being worked on right now as we're speaking, but my piano, sadly, is like down the line because there are so many pianos to other people that I'm always tuning up and making piano videos, and I practice on this thing, so I knock it way out. That note is beautifully in tune, but I'm going to play slowly, and you can hear when notes are slightly out of tune, you get a slow wave. The more out of tune any one of the strings are to the others, the faster that wave becomes. I'm sure we're going to find some on here. So I'm going to play a slow chromatic scale and see if you can hear. And this is the way you can test your piano. So that, once again, the pure A here, which happens to be perfectly in tune with itself. Now, soon enough, I'm sure we're going to hear notes that are out of tune. That's basically in tune. I heard a slow wave over about 2 seconds. You know, usually pianos are out of tune. I didn't even check it first to see. I'm sure there's going to be out of tune notes coming soon. Ah, listen to that wave. Hear that? It's not quite pure. There's a little bit of vibrato, a little bit of a wave. None of these are that out, by the way. I'm going to try to find one that's really out. I can't believe that my piano's this well in tune. It usually isn't. Oh, there's one. Hear that? Compared to, oh, that one's out too. That's a slow wave. So that note is more out of tune than surrounding notes, and that's why the wave is faster. Because sound is just how many vibrations per second. A440 means the string's actually going back and forth 440 times a second. If another string is going by back and forth at 441 times every second, you're going to get a wave that lasts a second. The interference wave, if, one is going up, one's going down, and At a certain point, they meet because one has slightly higher cycles than the other one. So, hear that one? These are all out. Not too bad. Let's see if any of the lower ones are out. It's those upper notes, by the way, that drive me crazy, and tuners as well, because they're really hard to lock those in. They knock out really quickly, and the top octave is a nightmare because the notes don't last long enough to hear it. So a good tuner, and that top octave, you hear them doing this, because the notes don't sustain long enough in order to hear the wave. So going down, slow wave. My middle C's out. You hear that compared to, hear the steady state of that C sharp compared to the C. So, to recap, there are two important criteria for your piano needing to be tuned. One, very important, that the pitch is maintained throughout, that you're not several cents flat. If you see on the tuning app that it's way off to the side on some notes and generally a whole register is low, get your piano tuned. Why is it so important to tune your piano? Why would the Piano Technicians Guild tell you should tune your piano 4 times a year? Is it because they're in the business, they want more money? No, it's because the more you tune your piano, the more stable it becomes. So you get to a point where the piano almost doesn't need to be tuned. That sounds paradoxical. Like, for example, at conservatory, the 2 Steinway concert grands on stage were tuned every day, and those were absolutely rock solid. My father always had his pianos in his studio tuned monthly, and pianos gain more stability. Now, the more you play a piano, the more it goes out. So practice room pianos in music schools are virtually never in tune, because after one day of being played for 12 hours, it's going to be, a lot of unisons are going to be out. So it all depends upon the stability of the environment of the room in terms of temperature and humidity, which can knock it out, as well as how much the piano is played and with how much force, combined with how often it's been tuned up to that point. Now, new pianos and newly rebuilt or restrung pianos, those strings are still stretching and will need to be tuned even more for the first couple of years of ownership. So there's a lot to this subject. If any of you has particular specific questions, send them to me, robert@livingpianos.com. We're your online piano resource. We're here for you. Thanks so much for joining me. We'll see you next time.